Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour, your source for all hard rock, heavy metal, new metal, alternative, punk, horror punk, hardcore, rock, and all local bands, with your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bodfather.
Hey, this is Tim Swisher, vocalist from Eyes of the Living, and you're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
The views and opinions of the guest do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of BODS Mayhem Radio Network, its staff, affiliates, or sponsors. Parental discretion is advised. Welcome to BODS Mayhem Radio Network.
Hey everybody, welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour. I'm your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bodfather. As always, I'm bringing you guys and gals awesome interviews. Today, it's an honor and a privilege to have Mr. Tim Swisher. He's the vocalist and guitarist of Eyes of the Living. Eyes of the Living have released their new album entitled War on Dead, More Dead, out now via Pavement Entertainment. Also, new music video for Infected is out now as well. Tour has kicked off, and we'll be talking about that because they have some tour dates right now. They're going to be back on tour midsummer, kind of right around fallish. Kicked off on tomorrow, actually, in Warminster, Pennsylvania, at the Red Stallion. Is that right? No.
That's correct. Yes, okay, it is. Yeah. Yes.
And then April 18th, it'll be the conclusion of this one. That's going to be also in Reading, Pennsylvania at the Reverb. So if you're out and about, get out and check out Eyes of the Living. Got some great stuff. And Tim, man, how's it going?
It's going good, man. It's I'm glad to be doing this interview with you. Appreciate you taking the time.
Not a problem whatsoever. Glad to have you on the show. Like I said earlier, man, I dig this old thrashy school sound of metal. I like that you guys are staying true to what you like and doing what you like, because there's so many forces out there, man. In this day and age, they'll be like, well, let's go this way. But I like what you guys doing. Thanks, man.
It actually seems to resonate among a lot of listeners that they enjoy the old vibe or the old feel of, thrash elements going on in it. And that's what, it's what I love to write, and we love playing, and we're glad that people are enjoying it, man. It's an awesome thing.
How's it been working with Pavement Entertainment so far?
Pavement's been awesome so far. They've been, very responsive and really great on pushing the release, getting a lot of PR from them, which is great. And we're seeing some really nice things, a lot of nice traffic, decent amount of listeners tuning in through Spotify. Some really good stuff. So we're hoping that it just continues down that road, and we continue to do great things with them, and they help push us more into the spotlight, get us out there, everyone's ears.
Eyes of the Living has released new music video for Infected. Was it hard to choose between the current set of songs on this EP or album? Which one would be the first single and video? And what did you want that first song to say for you guys, for someone who has not got to hear your music when they first seen this video or heard old stuff? What did you want them to get?
The drive behind doing Infected as the first video was that song seems to get a really good response live from the audience. People really get into it. There's a couple that have that kind of impact, but we really dig the elements that are going on and Infected, the mix of sounds and the alls and all that. Just make it, we had a cool idea, cool concept, and we got together, and so and it came together really well. We actually contemplated doing Hell on Earth, but that may be a video that comes out a little later this year as a follow up to Infected. But there's a bunch of songs. It's hard for us to choose between the ones we like, because each of us like one more than the other. So not sure exactly if Hell on Earth will absolutely be the next video, but it's definitely in the list. Could be Run for Your Life, could be Stench of Death, could be something around there.
Who directed the music video for Infected?
I'm going to give you a rundown on that. It's pretty funny, actually. Or not funny, it's interesting. So we had some ideas we threw around, and we actually shot that video in a garage with black fabric. It's people see it and they're pretty impressed with it. But it was really done on a really low budget. We shot it in a studio, in a garage with black fabric. You had friends come over with cameras, and you had 3 or 4 different cameras. Not high-end stuff, but decent stuff. One was even a phone. Some of the footage on that video is from a phone.
Wow.
And and then the editing just came together. So I like to say it was kind of like this, the band, a couple of friends, some cameras, a few beers, 5 pizzas, and $110 in fabric. And then I did the video editing. And what you see is the end result. So it was fun.
You got to do what you got to do. What you got to do.
That's right. Yeah. And, I wish that we would have known the power, the tool that it is of a video. I mean, it's really incredible. I say to bands, like, if you don't, the response that we've gotten from it, and it actually has grown our fan base and brought people to us. It's a great marketing tool. So if you're in a band and you don't have a half decent video, I'm not saying you should just throw out anything, but try to put something together decent. You can really draw a lot of people in. We threw it up on Facebook in an advertisement going around, and we've gained probably 200-300 likes and followers. The video itself's generated over 14,000 views at this point, and the people on Facebook, and people are sharing it, which is what you want. People see it, they comment, "Hey man, this is awesome," and a lot of people, like you just said, dig the old school vibe or whatever not, and then they'll share it to their page, and then somebody else sees it and likes and comments it. So it's great for a viral impact to draw more fans to your what you're doing, for sure.
Any song standing out more to you than any right now possible on the new album? I know it must change every time you listen to it.
For me, the ones that I actually like the most are probably the ones we just touched on. I really like Chemical Bath a lot, Stench of Death, Infected, and Hell on Earth. Hell on Earth, for me, it's one of the slower tracks, but the lyrical content is universal, and it just people can interpret however they want, but it's powerful to me, and I enjoy singing that one live. But the other songs are just high energy. I love that. Chemical Bath has a traditional thrash, just driven kind of energy to it, and I love really enjoy playing that live. It's one of my favorites. But I like everything. And Dawn's a fairly new track. That's a slightly different vibe than the rest of everything else in the album, and it's been receiving some really nice compliments too, which I wasn't sure about. But because it's got the acoustic soft beginning to it, and I'm actually singing on it a bit, if you want to call it that. And then it gets heavy and aggressive, and I just wasn't sure. Compared to the rest of the album, everything's pretty hard and driven and up tempo. So I wasn't sure how that was going to be received, but it's actually getting some pretty nice comments. It's a nice thing.
A little diversity in there. I think that does an album great, besides having it's cool to go 1,000 miles an hour, yeah, but having a little bit of diversity in it, man, that always kicks it up, in my opinion. Yeah,
I gotta agree with you. It keeps you interested in what you're listening to.
Yeah. Very true. Yeah, very, very true. And people make fun of me because I like a lot of acoustic stuff, but I love acoustic. I love when a band can break down a song and do it acoustically even better just as they do on an album. So.
Yeah.
What do you hope everyone takes away from this new album, or message you hope they hear while listening to it, or just any of Eyes of the Living's music in general, Tim?
Oh, man, good question. I would hope people, when they listen to it, that they hear the creative energy that went into making the music, that they hear something that they, I don't want to say has a message, but has a story to it, and you feel like you want to listen to it, and they want more of what we're doing. That's really kind of what, I hope for. I've said recently to someone that one of the things I enjoy the most from a fan or from another person that listens to the music is the compliment. It makes me feel like the writing that we've done, appeals to somebody else. It does something for them. It touches them in their soul, or whatever you want to call it, moves them. And that makes me feel, good. It makes me feel like, hey, I've done something that can connect with someone else. It's important. And the fact when somebody, you play live, the big, one of the biggest compliments to me is someone walking directly up to me and saying, hey man, these guys kicked ass. And it's freaking, it's killer. And, it means that we've conveyed what we hope we're, what we want people to feel, and we're accomplishing that, and by, getting that compliment, if that makes sense.
So who did the artwork for the album?
The artwork was put together by a bass player, Chris Moore. He had the concept and idea. The inside, the hard disk has some art inside of it behind the CD that's done by a guy out of Thailand. He's really good. He's done our first shirt design too. It's a split zombie design inside the CD, behind the CD. It's probably online somewhere and you can probably see it, but Chris designed the concept and the idea. The photographs and imagery and everything that's on the album, the front and back, is pretty much Chris's idea.
Yeah, I always like to give a little shout out to the artists because, as I've said in many interviews, I don't think that they get enough props for what they do because they have to get in your head and your eyes and see what you want in an album cover. And sometimes that's very hard to even get what you want.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. And it's important, too. The album cover can make a person look at something and be interested and maybe not, but... yeah, some album covers today are really intense. Oh, yeah. There's a lot going on.
Yep. I have bought many albums just for the simple fact of the album cover. Some's hit or miss, but some have been mostly good so far.
Yeah. It's great when the art matches the vibe and the feel of the music.
That is for sure. Who produced this album, Tim?
I produced the album.
Okay.
Yeah, it was done in my home studio. It was recorded and engineered by myself. And Chris Moore, the bass player, contributed to the arrangements and the lyrical content as well. And so, but what you hear, the end product, is something that I did. And the reason I kind of got into that because in the 90s, myself and the bass player were in one band, and the drummer and the guitar player were in another band, and we were pretty, we've had some highlights in those previous bands in the area. Chris and I got together, and I took a hiatus, and during that hiatus of not doing that, I started pursuing writing music for TV, television shows, and whatever not, and getting stuff in publishing libraries. And in doing that, I got a lot of feedback from a lot of the supervisors and the people wanting the music about the quality of the music. So it led me down a path of developing engineering skills, getting more familiar with the tools, and understanding what it takes to develop a radio quality type recording. So when this came up, I started writing heavy stuff again. Chris heard it, and he was like, "Hey man, do you want to do something with this?" And I said, "Yeah." So him and I started working on it. We brought Mike in to do solos. Kind of got shelved off and on over a couple of years, and then around 2016, we said, we should really do something with this. We think we got something great going with it, and we focused on it, and we pulled an album together, and we released it. And re-released it, let's just say it was released independently in 2017 and is being repushed worldwide through Pavement this year. So it's a huge accomplishment, and I'm glad people hear it and they think highly of the quality, or at least think it's a quality that's something they want to listen to.
Yeah, and speaking of some success that Tim's talking about, they've had their music featured on like True Hollywood Story, that metal show, the Mighty That Metal Show. Who I wish that was around.
I missed that show.
Yeah, me too, man. Me too. Yeah. That was like our church.
I missed that show. I was so disappointed when they said they weren't going to do any more seasons.
Yeah, that don't make no sense. It seems like to me, everyone and everything is trying to kill out metal music for some reason. But yet anything and everything it's not going to work. Exactly. But yet there's anything and everything else that's out there. Hey, we'll still survive no matter what. And plus, they did Ozzy and Jack's World Detour. And on top of these accomplishments, they even had their music played on the Howard Stern show. So that's pretty freaking amazing, dude.
Yeah, it's we've had some pretty exciting stuff happen for us, and all that stuff is there are all some milestones, and I can't even sometimes I think where I'm at right now, after taking such a long break and then coming back and then getting further along than where I was previously, kind of in a quick way, is just awesome. And sometimes I kind of have to I always want to do better and better. I recognize the accomplishments, but for me, it's always how much, can we do this better? Can we do that better? Can we get, this music out? And I want to do these bigger shows. And I want to, there's just that drive. But I sometimes have to sit back and go, man, but look at what you already did. It's pretty amazing, and it really is. And so it humbles me. Yeah.
I want to jump back to the producing wise, and I totally forgot this, and I'm sorry. But for you, do you like the producing route yourself? I mean, I know it gives you the freedom and the control to do whatever you want, but do you like this a lot?
I do actually like producing. I really love writing. I know you'll hear bands have different opinions of going into the studio and recording versus playing live. For me, it's like a 50-50 thing. I love both of them equally. They're two different worlds, but for me, if I don't get to create, it feels like I ain't being me. So it's extremely important to me to write. I write often. I write, guitar riffs a lot, pieces of music, verse, chorus, verse, chunks, and pocket it away somewhere and come back to it later on. So it's really important for me. The producing aspect of it, I guess, because I'm, self-producing myself or ourselves, I should say, and even Chris kind of did, he did some things to push me along. He was, if I did something, he would say, you can do this better, like the bass sound or the bottom end sound, whatever, something's going on there. He's like, dude, you can do better than this. And then it made me research and dig into it and figure out, that it's, more about the frequencies and understanding, there's a difference when you're mixing a track that's in, in E versus a song that's in drop D or drop C or B. The bass frequencies can muddy things up. So you got to joggle around the EQ a bunch. So part of that is part of the I guess the engineering aspect, but also the producing aspect. Would I be able to produce somebody else? I don't know, because, the role of a producer is kind of telling somebody, hey man, I think you ought to move this bridge here and, repeat this chorus 3 times here. And, even though I do that to myself, it's one thing, but I don't know if, I guess I probably could. I would like to try it, I guess maybe one day, but that's really what the, producers are doing today is are kind of digging into other people's music and basically saying, hey man, why don't you do it this way? Or, add this instrument into it or do this. It's going to make it better. So I think it would be challenging. Hope that wasn't a super drawn out answer for you, but. Yeah.
Oh, you're fine, dude. You're fine. How much growth musically have you seen this band and yourself go through up to the release of this album? Or has it just been more of a personal growth for each of you involved in this?
Musically, the next album, and we are working on new music that, for the next release that will hopefully come out, next year early, if not before that. I'd like to have it out soon because it's been in the works for a little bit. The sound itself is there's always going to be that old school thrash element that I love that I'm going to bring into it, that we're going to bring into the writing. But the sound itself may change a little bit, or the feel might be a little bit different. So there is going to be some growth there, but not so much where I think it's going to go so far away from what's on this album that people are digging that will make them feel like, hey, what did they do on the second album? Personal growth, us as a unit playing together from when we first played out, one of the things my manager wanted to do was video record us just all the time. And it's pretty enlightening to sit back and look at that first show we did and then look at a current show and see the difference in not only the appearance, but the way we're performing, the tightness, and the way we gel together. There's definitely been huge growth there. And we're all like brothers, all of us. We've all known each other a long time, and we get along really well. I think that has a lot to do with it, too.
When you come into the recording studio, when you're starting to produce, do you do anything differently during the writing and recording process to help keep your mind fresh and open, to not let everything get stale or boring to you? Do you do anything differently, maybe?
I don't know if I do anything differently. I do tend to check out bands of different genres here and there. Like if I hear something, I have a pretty broad range of music I listen to when it comes to metal. Modern stuff, I like Gojira, and I'll listen to, I'll even go and listen to Behemoth. And then, I go back to, I'm digging Power Trip right now. They're pretty awesome. And then, but, I love going back to the old school stuff and listening to it. Metallica, the Ride the Lightning, and Megadeth, Peace Cells, and all that stuff, old Exodus. So, and it's hard for me to even say, even Slayer as well. I get Chris Skepler, Slayer in there. But even for me, I don't know if when I listen to that stuff, it necessarily influences me. Sometimes when I listen to other music, I'll listen to it and I'll say, listen to what they're doing there. Listen to how they threw that, or not through, but how they put it together, the arrangement, what they're doing, the tempo changes, and how it's being delivered. So when I sit down and I write, I'm also rhythm, I guess, driven to begin with. So I'll usually start with a drum pattern or a drum machine that's given me, that will set off a feeling for me, and then I'll write a riff to it. Not that I don't write riffs and then put, drumming to it later on, but it often for me starts with rhythm. I've always loved drums. I actually started out as a drummer before I switched to a guitar player, so my mind is kind of in that world. So when I sit down, it's rhythm oriented, get a good riff going, and then a lot of times I'll sit there and go, hey, this riff sounds a little bit simple, but what if I do this melody over top of it, and then it brings it to life? And then it's just sitting there repetitiously changing little things to make it all work together.
What can fans expect at a show from Eyes of the Living who have not got to see you guys live as of yet? What are they going to get when they come and see you?
They're going to get, depending on how long of a set we have, anywhere from a half hour to 45 minutes of just pure energy. We start off with a pretty in-your-face set that just keeps going, and our goal is really to get the crowd engaged and into what we're doing. But it's just old school energy, just pounding, driven power force. Yeah.
We're living in the digital era of recording albums to get music out quicker, and plus now we have social media to reach out to more fans or folks who have not got to hear of you guys as of yet. Do you like this that we're living in now to get albums out quicker and plus reaching out to more folks?
The social media aspect has totally been a plus, and I can see the benefit of it in terms of growing our fan base, spreading the word, being able to reach out to people all over the country, all over the world, and introduce them to you, or reach out and find somebody that might be doing something, a radio show or a website or a reviewer or something. It just makes it completely more accessible. The digital aspect of music, I'm a little bit old school, and I do miss the world of, buying a CD or an album because you couldn't just download it and, sitting down and listening to it. And the sharing aspect of it kind of, is a little downer. At the same time, you want people to share your stuff, but, the days of making, a big living or owning a Porsche after your album goes out are kind of gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's value to it. Yeah. But it's, you can release something and then days later find, torrents sharing it, but it gets the word out. So if you're a touring band, which we hope to be doing, and, we continue to do, get to sell the merchandise, and, people come see us live, and that's how we'll make our money. What? I mean, it's not always about the money either. I don't want anybody thinking that either. For me, it's really, I'm a creative person, and I like sharing what I do with people, and that means probably more to me than anything. So,
what made you want to become a musician? What was that spark for you, Tim, that said, yeah, that's what I want to do right there?
It was probably, and this probably sounds kind of, people probably said this 100 times, thousands of times, but the first time I probably heard and saw Kiss when I was a kid, and then kind of first time I saw and heard Metallica and Merciful Fate and Megadeth and those guys and Slayer, something just clicked with me. And when I started playing guitar, I just took to it pretty easy, or I shouldn't say I took to it easy. It came to me fairly easy, and I enjoyed the creative aspect of it. And playing, getting together with friends, loved that part of it. Writing music with people, playing in front of somebody, and then seeing the crowd response, or the people getting into it. I mean, that really, there's a certain rush you get from playing in front of a great crowd. It's really hard to explain, or to feel if you haven't kind of quite done it. But it's an energy that's just, it's amazing, and it's just an awesome thing. And I think that probably really, being in my first band, getting music out of playing live, at that point, I think I was just like, man, this is what I would really like to do, and just keep doing it. And I did, off and on for a while. Here I am again doing it.
How much local support does Eyes of the Living get via venues or even airplay, possibly?
We haven't had any airplay on actual, our local radio stations, although the one DJ is friends with us. He comes out to shows, and he's very supportive. Although the one station does play a little bit of heavy stuff every once in a while. They'll squeeze it in here and there, but it's usually the big names. So we're hoping that changes at some point. And years ago, they used to have like a loud and local, and they would play, bands of all, as long as they were loud and local from, I guess the tri-state, four-state area, they were playing your music regardless of what style you were. It'd be awesome if something like that came back, because that's just like, helps push you into people's, if you get whatever you can get on the radio and people are hearing it, you're getting a direct access to people's ears, and you make it turned on to something new that you weren't even aware was there. So it's I wouldn't say it's right there. The venues in our area, they've been great to us, and some of the booking agents have been awesome. I mean, they'll come to us when there's bigger acts coming through and ask us if we're interested in opening up for them, and I guess they see the I don't want to say the value, but I guess they see that we're upcoming and that we have something going on in what we're doing, and that they recognize it's a nice thing, and it's we're glad that they do, and thank them for that. Really,
is there a country that stands out or even shocks you that Eyes of the Living gets support from, or the music even gets played in that you can tell so far?
I know that some people in Russia are listening to it, which is a little bit of a shocker, but not a shocker. I just don't know how big I always hear that in South America, the metal scene's huge, and I've done research on that, and it's clear that it kind of is, and obviously in parts of Europe, it's always big. But we often see, a gentleman that has a Russian fella that has a YouTube channel reached out to us and asked about getting the album up on his channel, and he just, if you got somebody that's got thousands and thousands of viewers and listeners, and they're asking to put your stuff up, it's just a quicker avenue to new listeners here. So I'm open for whoever wants to share our stuff, as long as it gets out there and spreads the word, for sure.
Folks, you want to get out and check out Eyes of the Living and check out their new album that's out there right now called War on Dead, More Dead, and check out their new video called Infected. You want to get out and check out this band. Trust me, if you like the old school stuff like of Exodus, Brick by Brick, stuff like that, Metallica, Megadeth, trust me, you will like this. So, Tim, how can folks stay in touch with you guys, buy some merchandise, tour dates when you do go on tour? How can you do that?
You can find us at eyesoftheLiving.com, and we have a shop on there, and there's several links on our website that will lead you to purchasing merchandise and the digital downloads. You can find us on Amazon and Spotify, iTunes, and most digital stores for listening and buying as well. We have a CD and shirt bundle that's available for $24.99 on massacremerch.com/EOTL. That's a pretty sweet deal. And this is a great looking shirt too. It's got the split zombie on there. But that's pretty much it. And obviously you can find us on any socials. We're on Facebook. Give us a like and a follow, and we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram. So we're pushing, in all those areas.
Before I let you go, good sir, would you care to do a promo for my show?
Sure, I'll give it a go. Hey, this is Tim Swisher, vocalist from Eyes of the Living, and you're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Everybody stick around. We got some great stuff coming up, and you only hear these interviews right here on BODS Mayhem Hour and BODS Mayhem Radio Network. Please get out and check out Eyes of the Living. Like I said, you will not be disappointed. Also, get out and check out our Facebook page. It has our podcast link, plus our YouTube link, and soon our Twitch link. And like I said, get out and check out Eyes of the Living. Tim, thank you so much for being on the show, man, and the best of luck to you guys for the rest of this year and from here on out, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Great talking to you, and hopefully we'll get out and play in areas near you guys.
Sounds good.
To play for your audience.
Sounds good. Bring it on, man.
You're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.